Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about the South Node in major adverse aspect to Mercury in a natal horoscope. As most of you know, the South Node is associated with what we generally will overemphasize or accentuate very strongly in the first part of our lives, and generally it can become somewhat of a monotonous kind of thing where it's kind of been there, done that after a certain length of time. Generally, approximately around age 30, we have the tendency to go more toward our North Node in our horoscopes, which is connected with the soul's mission or purpose. We look at Mercury, it's connected with communications, perhaps some short journeys in siblings. And anyway, people, the first thing I look at with this placement is that perhaps the people that have these aspects and they have the South Node in a major adverse aspect to Mercury is that there may have been, at least to some degree, inability to maybe articulate what their talents were, or their strong attributes and the abilities that they have, that I guess you could say that natural ability or talent for, and more in the first part of their lives. There may have been something where they might have had some distractions from others, where maybe this kind of precluded this. The development may still be there of those South Node abilities, don't get me wrong, but there may have been something where maybe they could have even emphasized it even more, but weren't able to do so because maybe due to bad advice, maybe from somebody, or one or more people. This could be somebody that could be very enamored, perhaps being enamored with mental interests and intellectual things, may have maybe prevented some development with the South Node placement. Or it could be possible that maybe the South Node placement prevented the person from maybe pursuing more things on an intellectual level. When we look at these aspects, I could give you like an example. Let's say someone has they have Mercury in the second house opposing the South Node in the 8th house in their natal chart. Well, something could be where Mercury in the second house could indicate somebody that's dominated by monetary interest in generating income. And if someone has the South Node in the 8th house, it could be somebody that might have some strong interest in, I guess we could say, maybe 8th house related matters, such as like Scorpio type things, such as perhaps things of maybe detective nature, solving things, whether it could be, might be interested in solving crimes, puzzles, things that are connected with astrology and the supernatural. Now, somebody might be so fixated on making money, maybe they don't really utilize that ability connected with the 8th house. Or it could be something where perhaps the South Node placement may have maybe conflicted with the Mercury in the second house to some degree. So people with the South Node in the 8th house may be more immersed in others' resources, and maybe in that example might have prevented them from maybe generating that income or making that money on their own that they wanted to, or maybe not as much as they would have liked to. So, or maybe there was just more of a focus on other people's, I guess you could say, their resources as opposed to their own. So the thing is, we look at these aspects, and on the positive side, if somebody has it in the South Node in opposition to Mercury, the Mercury will obviously be conjunct the North Node, which might indicate maybe after age 30, or around approximately that time in the second half of the person's life, there might be even stronger development with as far as something connected with communication, or anything related to communication, intellectual type of endeavors and learning, and this person might be that perpetual learner in that or emphasize learning more in the second half of their lives, even as opposed to the first, if they really weren't emphasizing things maybe of a scholastic nature or learning as much as maybe they could have potentially. So and if you look at the square, on the other hand, however, if you have the square with the south node in Mercury, you're obviously going to have the square aspect from the north node to Mercury, which could indicate some challenges in communication, perhaps, or maybe understanding what certain trends or fads may be, and maybe having difficulty capitalizing on them in the latter part of the life. So with the square to the south node, it would be more in the first half, would be emphasized. Then the person has the square to the north node, would probably be more emphasized, stronger in the second part of the person's life. But all negative aspects, it's not like they can't be worked through, and the good thing about adverse aspects in the chart is that it does prevent the person from becoming complacent. Without challenges, sometimes the person has difficulty in growing and evolving, so it enables others to understand their deficiencies and perhaps rectify them. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the south node in major adverse aspect to Mercury in a natal horoscope. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about the south node conjunct Venus in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because a person astrologically is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.